Hello students, today we are going to discuss about the next exercise, that is crop yield loss assessment. In that we discuss about how we calculate the expected loss of that crop or actual yield loss. That means we can expect that much amount of loss will be happens, but practically what or actual yield loss we have to calculate. Then the then we have to calculate the recommended yield, then actual yield. That means recommended yield, that yield is given by the university for the particular crop. That means in 1 acre of land a dash percent of yield will be obtained, but this is called as a recommended yield. But practically what kind of or actual yield or what actual yield will be obtained from the particular crop we have to calculate here. And for that we discuss the different examples for calculation of the recommended yield, actual yield loss, actual yield, unexpected loss. Before that we already discussed about the how we calculate the PDI, that is percent disease intensity, or sometimes it is also called as a disease incidence also. So in previous exercise we already discussed about that, how we have to calculate the PDI. Let us see the one example. Suppose this scale is given just like this scale 0 here, the 0, then 1 2 3 4 5. That means the scale is given 0. That means we already discussed 0 means what, the 0 means the loss or disease will be appears up to near about 0 to 10% on plant. Then 1 means what, near about 20 to 25% disease will be occurred on crop. 2 means 25 to 40% of loss. 3 means this 40 to 55% of loss. 4 means 50 to 75% disease will be appeared on crop. And 5 means what, 75 to 100% damage will be observed on the crop due to the attack of pathogen. So this is a descriptor, or this is called as a scale, or it is also called as the scale or grade. Then here in 0, suppose in 0 scale 3 plant get damaged here. Then in 1 scale the one plant get damaged. In 2 plant gets damaged. In 3 plant get damaged. And in 4 1 plant get damaged. And lastly on 5 scale 0 plant get damaged. There is no any appearance of disease. So simply what we do that here, in previous we discussed about that, just we have to make the summation of that. So that means the total number of leaves assessed, that is 10, and by multiplying the scale into the number of leaves assessed we obtain the sum of numerical ratings of that. So in that 0 into 3 0, 1 into 1 1, 2 into 2 4, 3 into 3 9, 4 into 1 4, and 5 into 0 0. So in that way sum of numerical rating scale will be obtained 18. So by putting the value on given formula, so that is PDI is equal to sum of numerical rating scale divided by number of leaves assessed into maximum grade into 100. So this formula is given. So simply put the value in that formula, that is sum of numerical rating scale, that is 18, divided by number of leaves assessed at 10 into maximum grade. We have to take in here 5, it is constant for all, then multiply by 100. So PDI or disease incidence will be obtained, that is the 36%. So this is about the PDI that we calculate in previous exercise. Now in that exercise let us see the first example, and with the help of that example we have to calculate the different value. In that first example you have to see that 15 number of plants has been wilted total number of plants are 120. That means out of 120 plants, 15 plants get damaged. Calculate disease incidence of pomegranate. We have to calculate the disease incidence of pomegranate, where PDI is 36%, recommended yield is 40 quintals per hectare, actual yield is 28 quintal. Then we have to calculate the expected loss and actual yield loss. Okay, so first of all, to solve that problem, you have to write all the given values first of all, isn't it? Okay, and after that we have to calculate, just we have to calculate first of all the disease incidence on the basis of, or on the basis of given data. So very simple, as we know that the formula, as we know that out of 120 plant here, out of 120 plants, 15 plants get damaged. So for disease incidence, as we know that disease incidence is calculated in percentage, that is out of 120 plants, 15 plants get damaged. So out of 100 plants, how many plants get damaged? So by putting the value in given formula, so 100 into 15 divided by 120, so disease incidence will be appears or calculated, that is 12.5%. So this is the value of 12.5% disease incidence. Then just we have to write the formula, which is for calculation of expected loss on the basis of given value, that is expected loss is equal to PDI into recommended yield divided by 100. So as we know that in given data here, recommended yield is given, that is the 40 quintals here. Okay, then PDI is calculated, that is 12.5% here. So just we have to put the value, recommended yield is equal to, that is 40 quintals is given, PDI is 36%. So simply, so we have to put the value in that. So expected loss here, the formula is given, PDI is equal to, expected loss is equal to PDI, that is 36 into recommended yield, that is 40 divided by 100. So we have to calculate, so we get the value of expected loss, that is 14.4 quintals. Then when we receive that value, so we have to calculate the actual yield loss. For that, formula is also given, actual yield loss. So very simple formula, that is actual yield loss is equal to actual yield into expected loss divided by recommended yield. So again we have to write the given value, actual yield is 28 quintals here. Here actual yield is given, that is actual yield is 28 quintals. Then we have to put the value here. Okay, so actual yield is equal to 28 quintals. So write down the formula and put the value in that formula. Okay, so actual yield is 28 into expected lot, as we calculate here 14.4 divided by the recommended yield, that is given 40 quintals, that is divided by 40. So in that way we have to calculate the actual yield loss, that is 10.08 quintals. So in that way we have to calculate the actual value of actual yield loss, then the value of expected loss, and value of the PDI, that is disease incidence also. Okay, so in that way just we have to remember the formula, all the data is given in that examples. So just by putting the formula we have to fill up the value of each, and just we have to calculate the different factors. So again we have to take the next example, that is, okay, so what is the next example? Calculate the actual yield loss of bunchy top of banana. That means due to the incidence of bunchy top disease, that is viral disease on banana, we have to calculate the actual yield loss, that is actually what kind of losses happens due to the attack of bunchy top virus. Then calculate the actual yield loss of bunchy top of banana over a field of 1 hectare, that is area is given 1 hectare. It is planted at 10 by 10 meter, that is planting distance is also given here, that is here spacing 10 by 10 here. Okay, 10 by 10 meter, where infected plants are 50. Here the 50 numbers of infected plants is given. Recommended yield is 45 tons per hectare, and actual yield is also given, that is 40 tons per hectare. So the we have to calculate the first of all planting distance. Okay, so that means 10 by 10 meter, that means what, 100 meter square. So according to the given data, out of 100 plants, that is 100 meter square, it is an area. Okay, sorry, here it is an the area is given 100 meter square, that is out of 100, here the 50 plants is infected. So for calculation of PDI, that is 100. So out of 100, how many plants is infected? So just we have to put the formula, that is PDI is equal to 100 into 50 divided by 100. So we have to get the value of PDI, that is 50%. So for calculation of actual yield loss, just first of all we calculate the value of PDI on the basis of given data. Again, just put the value in given formula, that is we have to calculate expected loss. So what is the formula for expected loss? Expected loss is equal to PDI into recommended yield divided by 100. So recommended yield is also given here, that is 45 tons per hectare. So expected loss is equal to PDI, that will be appeared, that is 50 into recommended yield is given, that is 45 divided by 100. So in that way we get the value of expected loss, that is 22.5 quintals. Then we have to calculate the actual yield loss. Okay, so what is the formula for actual yield loss? So actual yield loss is equal to actual yield into expected loss divided by recommended yield. So as we know that actual yield loss, the value of actual yield loss is also given here, actual yield loss 40 tons per hectare. So just put the value of that in that actual yield, that is 40 here. Actual is, that is 40 into expected loss, as we calculated here 22.5 divided by recommended yield, that value is also given here, recommended yield, that is 45 tons. So by putting the value in that formula, so we get the value of actual yield loss, that is 20 quintals per hectare. So this is about the here, this is about the value of actual yield loss. So in that way we have to calculate the actual yield loss of banana which is attacked by the virus bunchy top disease. Okay, next we discuss about here the third example, that is calculate the actual yield loss of pomegranate over an area of 2 hectare planted at 10 by 15 meter, where recommended yield is given, that is 65 tons per 2 hectare. Infected plant is 60 and actual yield is also given, that is 80 tons per hectare. So again we have to write the given value here. In that example, listen carefully, here we have to calculate the actual yield loss of pomegranate, that is actual, what actual or practical yield is loss, or what kind of loss is obtained in terms of yield. So in that example the data is given, that is area is given, that is 2 hectare, that means 20,000 meter square. Spacing for pomegranate is given, that is 10 by 15 meter, that is 150 meter square. So we have to calculate first of all the plant population by dividing the area and spacing, that is area divided by spacing we calculate, that is 20,000 divided by 150. So we get the population of plant, that is plant population 133.3 So out of 133.3, here the 60 plant get damage. That is 60 plant that value is also given here. Infected plant here in formula, in example, 60 plant get damage. That means out of 133.3 plants, 60 plant get damage. So first of all we calculate the PDI, that is, as we know that PDI is expressed in her percentage, that is 100. So out of 133.3 plants, 60 plant get damage. So out of 100 plants, how many plant get damage? So PDI is equal to 100 into 60 divided by 133.3. So in that way the value of PDI is obtained, that is the 45%. So in that way we get the value of PDI, that is 45%. Then let us we calculate the expected loss. So expected loss is equal to PDI into recommended yield divided by 100, as we discussed in previous. So just put the value in that formula, that is 45 into the recommended yield that we already given here, that is 65 tons per 2 hectare. So for 1 hectare 32.5 divided by 100. So expected loss for hectare, that is 14.62 quintals per hectare, but it is for 1 hectare, not for 2 hectare. And for 2 hectare near about 29 quintals per hectare approximately. The next one, how we have to calculate actual yield loss. Actual yield loss. So actual yield loss, we have to write the formula actual yield into expected loss divided by recommended yield. So just again we have to put the value, very simple. So we have to put the value actual yield 30 into expected loss, as we calculated for 1 hectare 14.62 divided by 32.9 32.5. So actual yield loss is equal to 13 point here 49. So this value, that is, we have to calculate the actual yield loss of pomegranate is about 13.49 quintals per hectare. Suppose it is asked for 2 hectares, so just we have to multiply by 2, and just then we get the value of actual yield loss. Similarly, the next example we have to discuss here, the last example we have to discuss here, how we have to calculate. So calculate PDI, expected yield loss, actual yield loss for powdery mildew of bhendi, where number of plants observed rating scale and recommended yield is 35 quintals per acre. Actual yield is also given 32 quintals per acre. So as per the rating scale is given here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we have to assess the in 0, here in 0 4 plants get damaged, in 1 2 plants get damaged, in second 1 plant get damaged, in third scale 2 plant get damaged, and in fourth 1 plant get damaged, and in fifth 0 plant get damaged. So for to get the sum of numerical rating scale, just we have to multiply 0 into 4 0, 1 into 2 2, 2 into 1 2, 3 into 2 6, here 4 into 1 4, 5 into 0 4 0. So in that way we get the value of sum of numerical rating scale, that is 14. Just we have to make the summation here 2 2 6 4. So total value is here the 14. Okay, then we have to put the formula for PDI. PDI is equal to sum of numerical rating scale divided by number of leaves assessed into maximum grade. So sum of numerical rating scale, as we often hear, 14 divided by number of leaves assessed, that is number of leaves assessed 10, into maximum grade we given here 5. Okay, so maximum grade is also given in example 5 into 100, because PDI we have to calculate in 100. So we get the PDI, that is 28%. Then we have to calculate the expected loss. So similarly we have to write the formula for that. Expected loss is equal to PDI into recommended yield, okay, divided by 100. So as we know that the value of PDI is equal to 28, recommended yield is also given, that is here 35 quintals per hectare, that is 35 divided by 100. So in that way we get the value of expected loss, that is 9.8 quintals per acre. Then last one we calculate the actual yield loss. So actual yield loss is equal to actual yield into expected loss divided by recommended yield. Okay. So simply we put the formula, as we know that actual yield, that is 32 quintals per acre, that value is also given 32. The next into expected loss, so expected loss value is given here 9.8 divided by 35. So we get the value of actual yield loss, that is here 89.6 quintal per acre. So in that way we calculate the PDI, expected loss and actual yield loss. So that kind of example is asked for your examination. So we prepare for that, and first of all you should know the concept of that actual yield loss or actual yield, expected loss, recommended yield, and you should know the formulae for calculation of each loss. Then and then it is very simple. First of all you should read the example carefully, write down the given data while writing the answer. Then you have to just put the value in formula, and just we have to calculate the whatever you ask. So if any kind of difficulty in that exercise, so please ask me. Thank you.